stepping in
spectacular,
as well.
over the top. I mean, that was a full force shot to the temple. I mean, he's right now. So they wipe off his gloves, but you look at him like he's really feeling it right now. I mean, he probably has no idea where.
When I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter.
One big shot's going to land if the guy's not throwing other shots. So I thought with less artillery in the air, less bombs in the air, that the guy would have a chance to.
Joe Rogan reacts to Jake Paul's knockout loss with laughter alongside Anthony Joshua, calling the fight a clear mismatch from the start. Rogan explains that Jake usually faces retired fighters or MMA opponents, not a legitimate Olympic champion heavyweight. He stresses that Joshua is not only elite.
Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists.
But also far above Jake's natural weight class. From a realistic boxing perspective, Rogan says the outcome was obvious long before the first punch was thrown, and the result simply confirmed expectations. After the fight, Anthony Joshua made a strong post-fight statement, saying the knockout actually saved Jake Paul. He explains that if the fight had continued, he would have completely broken him down mentally and physically. Joshua suggests the early finish prevented even more damage inside the ring. Anthony Joshua being linked with a so-called circus fight against Jake Paul immediately divides opinion across boxing.
I heard the question being posed to Joshua, will he now fight Fury? And then my first thought was, after what I've seen, who cares? After that, who cares if Joshua fights Fury? I like Anthony Joshua immensely, Spencer. Any exchanges I've had with him, I think he comes across terrifically well. But I fail to see where it's taken us, where it's taken him, other than hugely increasing his bank balance. You know, I really fail to see what this has done.
Well, it's done nothing, but he was going to fight in November, like I said, and he's just gone in there against Jake Paul. What has it done for his legacy? Absolutely zero. But it was, you know, he's earned a lot of money doing that. And he's going to go again, and he's going to fight possibly February, March, and then there's that Tyson Fury fight that's looming that could happen in September, whether Tyson Fury decides to come out of retirement or not come out of retirement. For Anthony Joshua, he's earned a hell of a lot of money. This is prize fighting, and that's what it's all about. And that's what he's done.
Many see it as a spectacle rather than a sporting contest, with the size, experience, and pedigree difference being impossible to ignore. Joshua is a two-time heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist. While Jake Paul is still learning the sport, the matchup feels more like entertainment built for numbers than a genuine boxing challenge, which is why critics label it a circus rather than a real fight. Simon Jordan reacts strongly after Anthony Joshua breaks Jake Paul's jaw with a knockout, calling the entire event damaging to boxing's credibility. He argues that such fights blur the line between sport and spectacle and take attention away from meaningful competition. Jordan emphasizes that Joshua has already earned generational wealth and legacy.
Paul out of there, reputationally, how does it leave AJ?
Well, thankfully, it didn't go to points, because I think that would have been a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, you know, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time. And I think he only landed one clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in two places.
But, I mean, you said, did you not, to us in this very studio the other day, he's got to get him out of there in round one.
I did.
Otherwise, what are we seeing?
Exactly that. You know, and I think what we saw there was a little bit of entertainment. And that was pretty much it. But not entertainment that many people enjoyed, if I'm honest. I think that people wanted to see a demolition job.
So he does not need novelty fights. Even if a Tyson Fury bout never happens, Jordan says Joshua's financial security means walking away would not be surprising. Adam Booth gives a brutally honest breakdown and notes that Jake Paul did manage to make Anthony Joshua miss at moments, which he considers significant. Booth says Jake's movement and positioning showed improvement and discipline, forcing Joshua to reset rather than land freely. While Booth makes it clear this does not mean Jake was winning, He acknowledges that creating hesitation against an elite heavyweight is a big deal and shows progress in Jake's development. Continuing his analysis,
Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul shared a ring. Your takeaways from the 6 rounds that we saw, presuming you watched?
I was impressed with Jake Paul. I thought that, following on from what we're saying, right? A few years ago, he was on Disney as a kid, acting up, and has decided to become a professional fighter. That takes balls, but he's obviously striving to be as good as he can be. You can see that in the way that he moves, the way that he is developed in how he's punching and performing. But to make a 2-time world heavyweight champion that's still live, AJ's still got something about him, to make him miss in such an accomplished manner. All right, so at times he was jumping out and running around, but there were times when he was well in range and still making AJ unable to land a clean, solid shot. He deserves a lot of respect for that. And then the shot that actually finished the fight, that broke his jaw quite badly, didn't put him out. That shot he threw with serious intention has put a lot of professional heavyweights to sleep. He didn't go to sleep. He actually finished on his knees, didn't he? Laughing and spitting blood out of his mouth. So, like they say, it's a special type of crazy and a special type of brave to do it. But I actually, hats off to him, because he showed that he's developing some accomplished little skills in there to look after himself. The size difference is always going to fatigue him.
I know everyone will come with the idea that, AJ should just go in there 1 round and smash him to bits, and that should be it. It was a big ring, right? Perhaps he could have cut the ring off a bit better, but would I be right in saying that regardless of skill level, if you forget about that with the 2 for a second, if someone is on the back foot and on their bike and doing what Jake was doing, it's difficult, no matter who you are, no matter the kind of separation in skill level.
It's a big ring, and you've either got to run at him and look like a novice yourself, or just take your time.
Adam Booth explains that making a fighter like Joshua miss is not accidental and requires preparation, timing, and confidence. Booth says Jake's footwork and willingness to stay composed under pressure deserve credit. However, he also stresses that these moments do not change the overall reality of the fight. Joshua's class, power, and experience still dictated the outcome once he found his opening. In the aftermath,
because at least Jake Paul has taken boxing, or has trained with real boxing trainers in real boxes. Whereas Logan Paul, he did that exhibition with Floyd, and Floyd's a little guy. Not saying a little guy can't thump, because Floyd really gave him some 2 pieces with no sides, right? But at the same time, you take his friend, Floyd's friend, Anthony Joshua, and get hit by him and see what happens. The same thing. Probably worse, because I think Logan, he's a little taller than Jake. And because he's a little taller than Jake, he may think he's a little stronger than Jake, which I don't know which one's true or not. I don't think it makes a difference. But because he may feel that way, he may want to go in there and try to bang it out with AJ. And if that happens, it's going to be a lot quicker. See, that 6 rounds it took AJ to finally catch Jake. It took that way because Jake was on that bicycle, moving, being elusive, trying to come in and then come out. He tried to do a very poor man's Alexander Usyk, right? And it didn't work for him. Logan ain't going to do that. Logan's going to come in throwing punches and bunches like he did with Floyd, trying to get him in there and, do all this stuff. And what's going to happen, as soon as AJ lines him up, sets his punch, he's going to hit Jake and he's going to break Jake.
Attention shifts to Logan Paul appearing to intimidate Anthony Joshua and talking about revenge for his brother. Logan reportedly expresses interest in fighting Joshua, but analysts immediately dismiss the idea as far more mismatched than Jake's fight. They point out that Jake trains full-time with professional boxing coaches.
Jake was shooting double legs, too.
Shooting double legs, nice
duck
ones,
unders.
Ankle picks, duck unders. But, dude, God, I see so much people talking shit on the fight, which, dude, what the fuck did they expect? Like, Jake was hyping himself up, saying he's going to win. Dude, that's self-belief. He needed that to go in. He needed that to get himself into the ring. You know what I'm saying? He just needed that.
What do you think about the sticking that's hung out?
Dude, he's a showman. This is a fucking YouTuber that switched to pro boxing.
Yep.
And he's fighting Anthony fucking Joshua.
He's an
He made
entertainer.
$90 million, $7.5 million per minute. Nate Diaz says that boy don't work hard enough. This girl in the UFC said Jake Paul shot more double legs in boxing match than I did in my UFC career. Ryan Garcia said he's a runner, he's a track star. Aljamain said this is a clown show. Josh Hammond said, dude, it's like, what did they expect? They expect him to go in there and look like a clean fucking Floyd versus Manny Pacquiao. Two of the, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck?
You see the aftermath, like his jaw and everything. Fuck.
Jake Paul's broken jaw. Jake has to get wired shut for 7 days or something like that.
Yeah, like
Tim
titanium
had to do
plates.
7 weeks.
Yeah, Tim says that was the worst thing he's ever gone through.
7 weeks. Tim broke his jaw in Montana. Tried to go to the hospital. Hospital said the surgeon's out of town. So now he has to. So he's fucking goes like a week without even getting surgery. At least Jake was able to probably get it like next day, that same day. But it's like all the people hating on Jake. It's crazy. Connor said Jake is stupid and will be altered permanently from this bout. I look at it. It's inspiring seeing what he does because I know how much like he's putting in work. He's doing legitimate fight camps. He's doing sparring. He's doing rounds. He's eating. He's doing everything.
While Logan lacks that level of commitment and skill, a Logan versus Joshua fight would be even more one-sided. Further discussion around the aftermath reinforces that Logan Paul's pursuit of Anthony Joshua would cross from spectacle into outright farce. Analysts argue that even Jake, despite losing, showed he belongs in professional boxing at a basic level. Logan, by comparison, is seen as far less polished and less serious. The consensus is that such a fight would offer nothing competitive and would only increase criticism of boxing's direction.